Hello and good morning, Boston. I'm Keely Flanagan.
And I'm Michelle Harvin. Here are the top news stories of the day. Police are currently investigating deadly shooting at an apartment complex in Waltham. Officers arrived at the Garden Crest Apartments. Police confirmed the victim was high school student Tyler Zanko, who was supposedly shot in the parking lot. The 17-year-old was a member of the high school wrestling team. Investigators at the scene say the shooting is being considered a homicide, although no arrests have been made so far. This is the second shooting in the area in the past 4 months.
Less than 1 week after people in Crimea voted to align with Russia, Russia officially annexed the region from Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a treaty completing the secession of the Black Sea Peninsula. Putin claimed the signing a remarkable event. This comes amid the growing risk of more sanctions from Washington and Europe. Despite the threat of sanctions from Washington, Obama says the U.S. is still willing to work with Russia.
Diplomacy between the United States and Russia continues. We've emphasized that Russia still has a different path available, one that de-escalates the situation and one that involves Russia pursuing a diplomatic solution.
On Thursday, Russia's lower house of parliament overwhelmingly approved the treaty to annex Crimea. Washington initiated tougher sanctions in response, while Russia announced its own sanctions against Washington officials. The annexation of the Crimean Peninsula redraws European borders, possibly forcing reconsideration of global security arrangements. European Union leaders meeting in Brussels signed an association agreement with the Ukraine in further response to Russian military and political action in Crimea. The EU also slapped new sanctions against Russia. President Obama also increased sanctions against Russia, blacklisting a bank and targeting several wealthy businessmen with ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Obama cited concern for further action in the Crimean invasion.
The world is watching with grave concern as Russia has positioned its military in a way that could lead to further incursions into southern and eastern Ukraine.
In swift response, Putin barred 9 American officials from entering the country, including Speaker of the House John Boehner, Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid, and Senator John McCain. McCain quickly took to Twitter with his response. Quote, "I guess this means my spring break in Siberia is off, Gazprom stock is lost, and secret bank account in Siberia is frozen." Sanctions from Western leaders come in response to Russian military action in Crimea. Obama and others denounced these actions as a direct breach of international law and hope for an end to the conflict soon.
The debris that was expected to be pieces of the missing Malaysia airline flight was not recovered. For more on that story, here's Alicia Rush.
Friday morning, Australian officials found no sign of the missing Malaysian plane in the Indian Ocean. The Australian search team descended upon the 2,500-kilometer area in the southern Indian Ocean after satellite images spotted what was hoped to be debris from the plane. The distance from the coast of Australia to where the debris was originally spotted only gave the search team a few hours to look.
It's about the most inaccessible spot that you could imagine on the face of the earth. But if there is anything down there, we will find it.
Officials now fear that the debris has sunk and may be nearly impossible to find. International search teams will continue to scan the area, but they fear this will be an extended, long-haul process. It took 2 years for the black boxes from the Air France Flight 447 to be found in 2009.
France situation, they found the floating debris within 5 to 6 days. At least you have a general idea where to start. But the longer it goes on, the sea currents, the wind currents are going to move all of that debris. They're going to scatter it and mix it in with all the other trash that unfortunately happens to be throughout most of the oceans.
Malaysia Airline 370 has been missing now for around 2 weeks and had 239 people aboard. For Emerson College, I'm Alicia Rush. Back to you.
And coming up after the break,
A troubled Massachusetts health site leads to feud on a $45 million grant.
President Obama praises Jan Shaheen and takes a dig at Scott Brown as the New Hampshire Senate race gets lively.
Worcester Technical High School announces their commencement speaker.
We'll have Max with the sports rundown.
And is spring finally here? Marcel will give us the latest on our forecast when we get back.